The Pro Max model of Apple's well-liked iPhone usually gets major design updates and enhancements first. Apple then spreads them to other devices if they are well-liked. It's possible that the iPhone 17 Pro Max will receive another update, this time in the shape of a smaller dynamic island. Well-known leaker Weibo is where Digital Chat Station shared the most recent speculations regarding Apple's next luxury phone. In order to reduce thickness and size, they talked about a Metalens for Face ID that will incorporate the transmitter and receiver. Since the launch of Apple's selfie camera position, iPhone owners have yearned for the dynamic island, which will now be smaller thanks to this. To put it simply, Metalens are flat lenses that focus light using metasurfaces rather than curved lenses that bend light toward the image sensor. The necessary curves prevent these conventional lenses from being as thin as Metalens. DCS believes that the Metalens and smaller dynamic island that come with the future top-end iPhone will also be included in the iPad Pro and the long-rumored foldable iPad. A crucial component of the most recent iPhone versions, the dynamic island allows users to quickly and conveniently view their alerts. Additionally, the dynamic island is home to live tiles, which are essentially widget-friendly apps. A more seamless appearance for the display would result from a smaller dynamic island. There have also been rumors that Apple may take a cue from Google's design for the iPhone 17 by including a camera bar on the rear. The phone's construction has left us with more mysteries than answers. We've heard that it might be created with a titanium design, but we've also heard that it won't be. However, the iPhone 17 Pro Max's potential for 12 gigs of RAM is much more intriguing. A CASE-CAD render leak has shown that this aesthetic update may also be coming to the base versions, so when Apple formally launches the iPhone 17 Pro and iPhone 17 Pro Max later this year, it may be aiming a new design. But according to a YouTuber, the company would continue to use the same camera arrangement, with the rear now displaying features reminiscent of Google's Pixel line. According to a number of sources, John Prosser, who recently returned from a break and kept his audience informed via his front page tech channel, has been told that the iPhone 17 Pro and iPhone 17 Pro Max will get a redesign, at least from the rear. It is anticipated that Apple will adopt a different strategy, beginning with the camera bar rather than a flat rear side that houses the triple camera cluster and the LiDAR sensor. This change may indicate that Apple would align its upcoming products more closely with the Google Pixel 9 series, even if the models show that the camera will cover a greater surface area. According to reports, the company includes a rear microphone and LED flash and a LiDAR unit vertically on the right side, with the rear camera cluster on the left. The camera bar of the iPhone 17 Pro and iPhone 17 Pro Max may have a darker finish than the rest of the chassis later this year, marking Apple's move to a two-tone finish. Despite the fact that last year's iPhone 16 Pro and iPhone 16 Pro Max had larger screens, it's probable that Apple realized that consumers were becoming sick of seeing the same design every year. This unfavorable reception may have contributed to Apple's iPhone sales being marginally lower in the company's Q1 2025 earnings than it was in the same period last year. This shift, together with the introduction of Apple Intelligence in other countries, such as China, might have a beneficial effect. However, we will encourage our take all of this information about the iPhone 17 Pro and iPhone 17 Pro Max with a grain of salt, in light of John Prosser's inconsistent reliability history. We will return with further developments from our end. Next, it appears that Apple will release a new model next year, whether it is referred to as the iPhone 17 Air or the iPhone Slim. And this anticipated gadget should be a very thin phone, regardless of the name it goes by when it launches in the fall of 2025. Rumors of a thinner iPhone 17 model have been around for a while, but we've heard about new Apple iPhone models that never came to pass. Do you remember the iPhone 16 Ultra? It would also undoubtedly be consistent with Apple's recent trend toward thin iPads and MacBooks. We're still getting used to the iPhone 16 series, so it's still early for any iPhones that Apple intends to introduce in 2025. However, there are now enough speculations around the iPhone 17 Air to offer us an idea of what Apple might be working on. Additionally, we would like to share a few products from our wish list for the iPhone 17 Air. With every Apple smartphone released in the past 10 years coming out around September, with the exception of the iPhone 12, which was unveiled in October due to coronavirus, iPhone release dates are very predictable. Because of this, it's quite likely that the iPhone 17 Air will launch in September 2025, bearing a postponement to 2026 or its outright discontinuation. Additionally, there are claims that the iPhone 17 Air started production in December 2024. It is more challenging to estimate the price because the iPhone 17 Air appears to be a slight divergence from Apple's current lineup. Apple has offered 4 iPhone models for the last 3 years. The normal iPhone, the slightly bigger Plus model, which costs an additional $100, and 2 iPhone Pro versions, which include the regular Pro and the larger, more costly Pro Max. It is anticipated that the iPhone 17 Pro and iPhone 17 Pro Max will remain in the lineup along with the ordinary iPhone. Therefore, the iPhone 17 Air might be considered a substitute for the iPhone Plus. According to some reports, the iPhone 17 Air will start at $899, which is reasonable if the iPhone 16 Plus is the model the Air will replace. Other reports, however, indicate that we may be looking at a device that is more expensive than the Pro Max, which the iPhone 16 Pro Max currently starts at $1,199. This new iPhone model's most striking feature is probably going to be how tiny it is, as the moniker Air implies. Although we don't yet have a precise measurement, it is anticipated that the aluminum chassis will be much thinner, meaning that the gadget would likely drastically undercut the iPhone 16's 7.8mm depth. In fact, according to a June 2024 article by Mark Gurman of Bloomberg, this specific iPhone is expected to belong to a new class of Apple devices that should be the thinnest and lightest products in the whole tech industry. The objective might be to surpass the 2024 iPad Air, 6.1mm, or possibly the 2024 iPad Pro, 5.3mm. According to at least one recent leak, the iPhone 17 Air's thinnest point might measure 5.5mm. A 6.6-inch OLED display, which is just somewhat smaller than the 6.7-inch panel on the iPhone 16 Plus, is said to be supported by this thin frame. The titanium frame of the previous 2 iPhone Pro generations may not be incorporated into the iPhone 17 Air, which is expected to use aluminum like other iPhones. However, Phil Michaels of TG isn't sure this is true. It appears that the iPhone 17 Air may also have other high-end features to make it stand out, like a smaller hole and pill-shaped cutout for dynamic island. Apple could use OLED panels with a new technology called touch and display driver integration to reduce the size of this device. By combining a screen's touch and display layers, the technology reduces the panel's total thickness. But there is a report on the Korean website, Naver, that raises questions about how slim the iPhone 17 Air will be. Apple reportedly isn't adopting a battery with a smaller substrate because of technical difficulties and hefty expenses. If this is accurate, Apple may find it extremely difficult to make the gadget significantly thinner than 6.6mm. In addition to confirming reports of a 6.6-inch iPhone 17 Air, analyst Jeff Pugh included more possible specifications in an October analysis, which we'll talk about as the video progresses. The 120Hz ProMotion technology, which Apple has historically reserved for its Pro phones, is said to be supported by the OLED panel. The iPhone 17 Air is reportedly going to be 6mm thick, according to a recent leak. Given that the iPhone 6 is 6.9mm thick, it might be slimmer. On the other hand, the 13-inch of the iPad Pro, which is only 5.1mm thick, will still be the thinnest Apple product. However, there appear to be 5mm thick of the iPhone 17 Air prototypes. Beyond simply making the iPhone 17 Air thin, Apple may potentially experiment with a completely other design language. A Google Pixel-style horizontal bar that spans the entire width of the phone for its sensors is used by some leakers to indicate that the phone has centered cameras, but other sources have contested the latter. Since Apple hasn't tried any of these designs before, it might be a smart way to showcase this phone as unique among iPhones, but we don't know how good it looks in real life, at least not in the renders. A leak purporting to depict 2 iPhone 17 Air shells with a horizontal camera bar prominently displayed on the back lends additional credence to this idea. The desert titanium colorway of the iPhone 16 Pro was accurately predicted to exist prior to its announcement by leaker Majin Buu, who provided these photographs. It seems sense that the A19 system on chip would be used in the iPhone 17 series, which includes the Air, since the A18 and A18 Pro chipsets power the iPhone 16 and iPhone 16 Pro models. The extent of the silicon's advancement is debatable, though, as a source indicates that Apple won't have a chip manufactured using a 2-nanometer process until the iPhone 18. If accurate, this indicates that the A19, which powers the iPhone 17 Air, is a 3-nanometer chip similar to the A18. This implies that there is potential for small performance improvements. In order for the iPhone 16 models to support the new Apple Intelligence capabilities, Apple increased the RAM to 8 gigs. This is probably going to stay the case with the iPhone 17 Air, since only the iPhone 17 Pro Max is anticipated to receive an upgrade to 12 gigs of RAM. The iPhone 17 lineup as a whole is subject to more current rumors regarding its specifications. An Apple-made Wi-Fi chip, for example, is expected to be included in phones that are released in the fall of 2025. This contrasts with the Apple-developed modem that is anticipated to make its debut with the iPhone SE 4 in early 2025. Rumors about the iPhone 17 Air's battery haven't truly come to pass yet. It's something to watch because it would be challenging to include a battery as large as the 4,674 mAh power pack found in the iPhone 16 Plus due to the phone's smaller size. The current Plus's battery and the effective A18 chipset helped it earn a place on our list of the top phones with the longest battery life. Apple is reportedly investigating a new kind of glue to secure the batteries of its phones, according to a report that covers all iPhone 17 models. This glue would make it simple to remove the battery with minimal force, which would facilitate battery replacement for your phone. So, if you have any questions or comments, please leave them down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel for more tech news. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one.